This is for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ardinas, to use this as an educational material. Psychology is the study of the mind behavior, focusing on individuals' connection, thoughts, learning, memory, problem solving, and emotion evolution. It aids in understanding societal issue, education, mental health, and workplace performance. An example of psychology in action could be a clinical psychologist helping a patient with anxiety. The psychologist may use cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT, a technique rooted in psychological research to help the patient identify and challenge negative thought patterns that contribute to their anxiety over time. By learning healthier ways of thinking and reacting, the patient may experience less anxiety in situations that once caused distress. This demonstrates how psychological principles are applied to improve mental health and well-being.
When we hear the word emotion, most of us think of love, hate, happiness, or fear. Those strong feelings we experience throughout life. Our emotions are the driving force behind many of our behaviors, helpful and unhelpful. Just where do our emotions come from? Our brain is wired to look for threats or rewards. If one is detected, the feeling region of the brain alerts us through the release of chemical messages. Emotions are the effect of these chemical messages traveling from our brain through the body. When our brain detects a potential threat, our brain releases the stress hormones adrenaline and cortisol, which prepare us for a fight or flight response. When we detect or experience something rewarding, such as someone doing something nice for you, our brain releases dopamine, oxytocin, or serotonin. These are the chemicals that make us feel good and motivate us to continue on the task or behavior. In these instances, the feeling region of the brain kicks in before the thinking part. Sometimes the reactions of the feeling brain are so strong that it dominates our behaviors and we're unable to think rationally in the moment. Our emotions hijack our brain. While many of our emotional responses happen subconsciously, our thinking can influence our emotions, and sometimes this can be unhelpful. Just thinking about something threatening can trigger an emotional response. This is where we can manage our emotions with conscious thinking. Our emotions play a powerful role in the way we experience the world. Understanding and regulating our emotions through our thoughts and behaviors can help us take greater control of our brain and achieve our goals.
So for the next slide, I am going to discuss about me-self and myself. So the me-self is observable, reflecting experiences and traits, while the I-self is an active agent engaging with the world, generating self-awareness, continuity, and reflection, reflected in thoughts like I feel happy or I am thinking about my future. So the concepts of the me self and I self explain two aspects of how we understand ourselves. The me self is the part of you that you can observe. It includes your experiences, traits, and how others might describe you, such as I am a kind person or I have a brown eyes. It's like looking at yourself from the outside and noticing what makes you you. The I self is different. It's the active part of you, the one that thinks, feels, and makes decisions. It's the part that says, I feel excited about my future or I am solving this problem right now. The I selves help you reflect in your life and creates a sense of continuity. So you feel like the same person even as you grow and change. In short, the me self is like a mirror showing who you are, and the I self is the thinker and doer behind that reflection.
like being you," said the reflection in the mirror. "To me, you are perfectly perfect." I blushed. "Me?" "Yes, you. And by the way, you have wonderful eyes." I blinked, astonished. "I do?" "Absolutely. They sparkle like stars on the darkest of nights." I gazed downward. "Thank you. Your eyes sparkle too." "Sweet of you to say. You have a marvelous voice." I gently whispered, "You really think so?" "Of course. You sound as joyous as a songbird, whistling in the trees. And you have a magnificent smile." I sheepishly grinned. "Well, Mama always says, start every day with a smile." I agree. Your smile is as bright and cheerful as the sun in the sky. And you are quite smart. I took a step towards the mirror. "I do try very hard." "You sure do. You're as brilliant as a rocket scientist." "I like that you are friendly." I leaned in closer. "It's very important to be nice, you know." "It sure is. You're as peaceful as a butterfly. And you have a lot of courage." I raised my head high. "I auditioned for the school play today." "Outstanding. You're as brave as a lion. You're a fantastic dancer." I spread my arms wide. Watch how fast I can twirl. Around and around I went. Amazing. You're as graceful as a dolphin gliding through the sea. I plopped on the ground, giggling as the room playfully spun around. "And you have a terrific laugh." "Thank you very much." Your chuckle fills the air with bubbly joy. But most of all, I like your heart. Your kindness is as beautiful as a rainbow. I stood up and walked towards the mirror. To me, you are perfectly perfect. I gently pressed my hands against the glass. I like being you. We smiled in unison. I like being you too. I want to be you forever.
Global versus differentiation model. Global. Global processing is a method of understanding information that prioritizes connection over different combining components into a cohesive whole, focusing on trend and relationship and its prevalent result, psychology, and collectivity cultures. From my understanding about global aims to address global challenge by coordinating effort across nations, emphasize shared interests and cooperation over national self-interest, often advocate of a global organization to manage and implement directives. Differentiation is a cognitive skill that involves analyzing specific details and identifying distinct attributes with larger context becoming more pronounced as children mature is central to cognitive behavior and therapy, helping individuals identify cognitive distortion. What I understand of differentiation is focus on tailoring education or product service to meet the specific need in individuals or groups, emphasize diversity and individual difference. For example, in education mastery, learn allow students to process in their own pace, ensuring the master concept before moving on. In the business, companies might differentiate their product by offering unique features of targeting specific niche and markets.
The real self represents who you truly are, including your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and experiences. It encompasses your strength, weakness, values, and beliefs as they exist as the aspirant. It also a characteristic reflects authenticity and personal identity, includes both positive and negative traits. While the ideal self The ideal self will also aspire to be. It represents your goals, ambition, and traits or characteristics you desire to have. And also have characteristics, reflects dreams and aspiration, often shaped by societal expectation, cultural norms, or personal values, may involve unrealistic or overly prescriptive goals.
Multiple versus unified self. The idea of the multiple versus unified self looks at how the brain manages identity and perception. It explains why some people feel like one consistent person while others feel like they have separate parts or selves within them. This can be understood by exploring how the brain processes emotions and thoughts. First, the multiple self. A sense of multiple selves occurs when the brain's ability to integrate thoughts, emotions, and memories is disrupted. Disruptions in brain. First, the communication. Trauma, stress, or other challenges can interrupt the flow of information between regions like the amygdala, the emotion center, and the prefrontal cortex, or decision-making center. This can cause the brain to separate experiences or emotions, makes it feel like there are different selves within the person, each tied to a specific situation or memory. 2. The unified self. A unified self happens when the brain works in harmony to create a stable, cohesive sense of identity. Default Mode Network. The DMN is a group of brain regions that help us think about ourselves, reflect on past experiences, and imagine the future. When these regions communicate effectively, we experience a steady and unified sense of who we are. Hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. The hippocampus organizes and stores memories, linking them into a clear story about our life. The prefrontal cortex helps us to make sense of these memories, connect them to our emotions, and plan for the future. Together, these areas ensure that all aspects of our experiences comes together to form a continuous narrative, giving us a stable identity.
True versus false self. The concept of the true self and false self explore how individuals perceive and express their identity. Let's talk about true self. True self is an individual's authentic identity based on values, desires, and emotions, enhancing self-acceptance, emotional fortitude, and psychological well-being through openness, vulnerability, and self-awareness, fundamental to humanistic psychology. The true self reflects authenticity and self-expression, fostering emotional health and personal growth, while the false self is a societal identity shaped by societal pressures, expectations, or desire to win over others, leading to emotional suffering like anxiety, despair, or emptiness. This aspect of self is sometimes a necessary defense, can lead to emotional distress when it dominates one's identity.
Proactive self. Proactive individual prioritize their goal, anticipate needs, and work towards them, taking responsibility for their actions. This approach, rooted in positive psychology and self-regulation theories, encourage creativity and personal development, involve explaining and justify thoughts, actions, and decisions to oneself or others. It offers cognitive, social, and personal benefits strategies, including reflective journaling, self-questioning, and seeking feedback. Application include education, workplace, and personal relationship. In other words, being proactive means thinking about the future and focusing on the things you can control instead of all those you cannot.
The
The agentic self is the belief in one's ability to control life outcomes, rooted in autonomy, self-efficacy, and intentional decision-making. This concept is central to Albert Bandura's social cognitive theory and humanistic psychology, emphasizing personal agency and self-fulfillment. So the agentic self is characterized by the ability to act autonomously, making decisions and exercise control over one's actions and life course. These concepts emphasizes an individual's capacity for self-regulation, empowerment, and the pursuit of personal aspirations. The agentic self is driven by personal agency, the ability to influence one's environment and circumstances. Rather than being passively influenced by them, it plays a crucial role in psychological well-being, as individuals who perceive themselves as active agents in their own lives tend to feel more competent, confident, and motivated. In short, the agentic self is about taking ownership of one's life and proactively shaping experiences, making decisions, and work towards goals